Prosecutors have dropped the charge against ex-FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried that he violated campaign finance rules, according to the New York Times. Bankman-Fried was charged with fraud and campaign violations in December after his crypto company caved in. The prosecutor's filing said, quote, "In keeping with its treaty obligations to the Bahamas, the government does not intend to proceed to trial on the campaign contributions count." According to authorities, Bankman-Fried and other FTX employees used customers' deposits to make $90 million in campaign contributions to approximately 300 political candidates or PACs. Journalist Glenn Greenwald tweeted, "Congrats to Sam Bankman-Fried, the Democratic Party's second largest donor behind George Soros, on having his campaign finance fraud charges dropped by the Biden DOJ. Their hilarious claim is that they just couldn't proceed because the big, powerful Bahamas wouldn't let them." Crazy situation. Bankman-Fried is not this kind of guy to be compared with George Soros in the sense that he just wants Democrats to win. His campaign contributions is, just him trying to convince Democrats who are most likely to pursue financial regulations on the trade of cryptocurrency. He's trying to convince them not to regulate cryptocurrency. That's why he's made so many campaign donations, and it worked. It was a strategy that absolutely worked. We had so many bills pass, a bill, the Stablecoin Act, written by Rowan Gray, who's someone who's very knowledgeable about cryptocurrency, financial institutions, and the legality of how our money system works, introduced the bill with Rashida Tlaib's office that would have literally prevented the crash that happened in May, that ironically would have also prevented the decline of FTX that happened. It was sort of a slow burn that led to their ultimate collapse in November. And so the exact regulations that he lobbied against would have prevented his company from failing as bad as it did. I don't think we should see this as like Sam Bankman-Fried loved Democrats so much and that's why he donated to their campaigns. He was literally paying them not to pass regulations that I think would have not only prevented the collapse of his company, but would have prevented a lot of people from losing money that they couldn't afford to lose by investing in cryptocurrencies. Yeah, if I remember correctly, there was a video of him sort of talking about woke and that ideology and saying essentially it's a convenient way to get the government off of my back if I support this party line. And like you said, apparently it worked. He gave $90 million in campaign contributions to some 300 political candidates or political action committees. And it's actually, functionally not different from what he did with the company as a whole. As he's using this customer money to pay off politicians, he was also using customer money to secure loans for his business and to reinvest money into the business. It was basically all a giant scam. And I'm with Glenn Greenwald. We really can't get the Bahamas to turn over Sam Bankman-Fried. It's such a ridiculous excuse. Yeah. Now, it does look like they're going to continue to pursue the fraud charges related to the financial aspect of the company outside of the political donations. Yeah. But I think, to me, it seems like the reason they're not going after the political donations is because there's a bunch of politicians and PACs who don't want to have to pay the money back. Right. I think Bankman-Fried should be found guilty of the fraud allegations because it happened in broad daylight. We all know what he did. It's not like this is something where they have to do a ton of investigating to find the evidence. It's all pretty well documented. It's all public. We know that when we had, the fall of cryptocurrency values in the spring in May, that was the result of large transactions happening where, the amount of money that was injected into the crypto market allowed the stable coins, which were supposed to, keep a one-to-one exchange with the dollar, fell below the value of a dollar. People freaked out because people like exchanging their dollars from, Bitcoin or FTT or Ethereum, whatever coins they're trading, which only have their value thanks to people speculating that they have value. So the more people buy them, the more they go up in value. They want to be able to account for that instability and be able to say, okay, Bitcoin's up right now. I'm going to pull my money out of this. They don't want to have to go through this transaction of, okay, I have to sell the Bitcoin. Now I have dollars. Now I need to, take the money out of the crypto market and put it back in. They created stable coins so people could more easily execute these transactions. But Obviously, this isn't regulated by the typical kinds of financial regulations we have for banks that are usually responsible for backing up deposits. This was acting like a structure for deposits. And when you don't have FDIC insurance, when you don't have those deposits backed up, that's very risky. So people freaked out. They pulled their money out of crypto. And Bankman-Fried, who had his hedge fund buy a ton of FTT tokens, the coin that was native to FTX, people were like, what's going on? Because he was giving people loans who had lost money in the collapse throughout the summer and the spring. So the fraud just played out in broad daylight. Is it technically fraud because there wasn't so much regulation of the crypto market? Yeah, absolutely, it's fraud. It's akin to a kind of a Ponzi scheme to get people to invest in this. Also, to have a hedge fund investing in your crypto token, that's insane. Absolutely insane.
It is insane. On this political donation front, it looks like Bankman-Fried gave more than $40 million to Democrats and liberal causes in just the 2022 election cycle, including $6 million to the House Majority PAC, $250,000 to the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, and $66,500 to the Senatorial Campaign Committee. And there have been 2 senators who have promised to pay back the money, barring any finding that he was guilty of this fraud. And they are Debbie Stabenow, Michigan Senator, and Maggie Hassan, who is from New Hampshire. And stunningly, even though they said back in December and January that they would give the money back, apparently no payments have been made. And so I think all of these people are just going to try to hang on to that cash as long as they can. They don't care that it was given to them fraudulently. And it's really disgusting because this is money that came from customers, from investors, and a lot of whom were not wealthy people. They saw the ability to invest in crypto as sort of a way to get rich quick, or maybe pad some income, whatever disposable income they had, they were putting it in crypto because they thought that they could get around the traditional investment market. And that level of volatility that you were talking about is really attractive for some investors because it's usually a quicker way to have the whole buy low, sell high cyclical nature of an investment. And these people deserve to have their money back. It was essentially stolen from them in the collapse because Sam Bankman-Fried used it so willingly in fraudulent ways. And I think that outside of Sam Bankman-Fried being found guilty on this, anyone who took these campaign donations has a responsibility to give it back to the customers who lost tons of money in this scheme.
I think that's a really good point. It's an interesting model for accountability for members of Congress who are supposed to be representing the interests of the average American. That's the type of person that has been tricked to invest in cryptocurrency that's extremely volatile. A bunch of very wealthy people got richer off of cryptocurrency while the average person was sold a dream. Right. That you can get rich really quick. Dogecoin's going to the moon, invest in cryptocurrency. And a bunch of people did. And it was extremely unstable. It was not regulated in any way. And it should have been. And it was their job to regulate it. And they were paid not to. And so Sam Bankman-Fried was doing what a lot of, lobbyists do, what a lot of people who have a particular agenda and would very much not like to be regulated by the government do, is you donate money to the political campaigns of members of Congress. Maybe members of Congress should be found guilty. If we can't get Sam Bankman-Fried, maybe it's time we actually look into what were those conversations like. Was it the type of situation where they're like, I think the crypto market's actually good for the economy and we should keep it free and not regulate it at all. And they're like, that sounds great. I think I'll vote for you and give your campaign money. Or was it Sam Bankman-Fried like, please don't regulate me. Here is money. How much money do you need to not pass regulation on this? I'm sure there's some record of how those conversations went down.
Yeah, I would hope so. And according to the Washington Free Beacon, some of the lawmakers said that they would forward the campaign contributions to charity. Some gave them back to Bankman-Fried, while others said they would wait for federal prosecutors to tell them what to do. And federal prosecutors said that they should turn over the donations to a government victim relief fund. But Senator Kirsten Gillibrand from New York, this is what she said in response to the $5,800 she gave $5,800 of it to charity, but she also said that she no longer has an additional $10,800 contribution. Well, lady, you better find it.
Yeah, clearly, Gillibrand is someone that's kept her seat for some time. She ran for, president she's got money somewhere. Just because you don't have those $10,000, find $10,000 somewhere. Make people whole again. I mean, it's your job as a public figure to be held accountable when you do things like this. And just to keep the money would be absolutely insane. But also, Gillibrand's not a particularly fiery figure. She doesn't find herself taking heat a lot. She has this vibe of like, I'm Kirsten Gillibrand, and I'm just kind of a nice person, and I wouldn't do that. Yeah, exactly. That's the vibe she gives off. She's like, I don't know where the money went. Yeah, I think that's the reasonable solution for restorative justice here, and maybe they should pass some regulations as well, give the money back, and actually do the thing you were paid not to do.
And when we look at the analogous situation for what would happen if an everyday American were involved in this, like let's say someone steals goods from a big box store and then resells them to somebody. The person who got sold the stolen good doesn't get to keep it when they find that paper trail, right? They have to give it back even though they're out the money that they paid for the good. So I have no sympathy for these Democrats who are hanging on to these campaign donations under the guise of them not having money. It's such a joke.
Yeah, exactly. What about the everyday people that lost money thanks to this operation? Pale in comparison to the amount of money they got in donations from Sam Bankman-Fried.
And they don't get a convenient, $40,000 speaker fee to go talk to Harvard or these other ridiculous pay-for-play schemes that these congressional members get to enjoy both during and after their career. Yeah. We'll be back with more Rising after this.